Hi, it's John and welcome to the channel. Don't go away. Watch what I'm talking about today. Listen to me because you're not going to believe the story I've got for you today. Down in my basement with my big blue mug of coffee this morning, Wednesday, December 11th, 2 weeks until Christmas. So I got up this morning thinking, what am I going to chat about? There was one thing on my mind, but I might leave it until later today because I came across this story. And first off, it's stunning how stupid it is. And I can't believe it was actually written by a news organization here in Canada, Global News. I'll get to it in just a moment. But I want to just give you some background on this. Now, no matter where you are in the world, again, stick with the story with me because you're not going to believe it. We have a postal strike going on here in Canada. And it's going on a whole month now. I think it's 26, 27 days as of Wednesday, December the 11th. And most people haven't been affected by it at all. Okay, and I've said here before, all I get in the mail is junk mail. I occasionally get something that's actual mail, but most of the time it's junk mail. So that's what our postal workers are doing here in Canada, delivering junk mail for the most part. Now, there are some small businesses that are suffering during the postal strike. I have sympathy for them, but the postal strike just goes to show you that there should be another way to make those deliveries for small businesses, that maybe the fact that Canada Post is past its due date. So here's just an article in the National Post from just a couple of days ago. Here's a headline: empty mailbox, what will be lost if Canada Post goes out of business? The average household is down to 2 pieces of mail a week. In an age of emails and texts, the end of the letter is already here. So basically, Canada Post is not getting any sympathy from people in the public right now. So they're resorting to the stupidest thing you can imagine. Now, what do they want? Let me just tell you what they want at this point. Of course, they want more money. So this is probably the main sticking point right now. And if you look at this graphic on the screen, CUPW, the Canadian Union of Postal Workers, are looking for a 22% raise hike over 4 years, but right now they're being offered 11.5. So that's a pretty big gap in the difference, in how much they want to get paid. But they're also looking for health and safety improvements for postal workers. Now, let me read you the creed or the motto of the United States Postal Worker. And if you're older than maybe 20 years of age, you may have heard this in your life. Neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed round. So basically, the mail will be delivered regardless of the weather or any of the situations. The mail will get there. Now, here is an actual headline written by Katie Dangerfield at Global News, and this was posted yesterday afternoon on December 10th. A death trap. Striking Canada Post workers explain the job's toll on them. So now, delivering mail in Canada is a death trap. And I'll tell you, I'll put the link to this story in the description below. This is a pity party for postal workers in Canada. Now, I'm not going to shame anybody who is actually quoted in this story, but what they talk about is ridiculous. You're going to get an idea of it right here. So how is it a death trap? So let's move along to the next point here. What is making delivering mail in Canada a death trap? Here we go. As Canada Post workers remain on the picket line, a key point of contention in their demands is their job's growing physical and mental toll, and they say that's exacerbated by climate change. Climate change. From delivering parcels through scorching heat waves to battling blizzards, Canadian postal workers increasingly face extreme weather conditions that strain their bodies and minds. In recent years, climate change has shown a bit of a trend, said Brom Enslin, local president at CUPW Saskatoon Local 824. I don't have any issues with shaming Brom Enslin for making a ridiculous point like this to try to get public sympathy for postal workers in Canada. There was an ice storm and we had a rash of injuries, Enslin added, referring to the storm last year in Saskatoon. Members that broke their hip just by going out there, and they've broken their hip apparently because of climate change. They're blaming climate change for having injuries on the job. Now, let me just describe to you how my mail gets delivered here and how my mail has been delivered for, I don't know how long it's been. Years ago, door door delivery by postal workers basically disappeared across the whole country. And there was a big uproar about this. Seniors wouldn't be able to walk down to the corner to get their mail out of these mailboxes they put up. And I have to walk about 300 steps to get to this mailbox, and there's like 30 mailboxes there. I have a key, and I have to go get my mail. I haven't had a person actually deliver mail to the door at my house in decades now in Canada. And I'm not sure how many people are having that happen. What happens is there's a man or a woman in a little Canada Post truck that they're given, and they drive up to the box, step over the curb, and put the mail in the mailbox. So how are these people breaking their hips? I'm assuming that in some places they still hand deliver mail to the door, but that's pretty rare in Canada. I lived in Ontario at a number of places. Never had the mail delivered to my door. I lived in Strathmore in Alberta. Had to pick up my mail at one of those little boxes I told you about. And since I've lived at 3 places in Calgary, I've never had home delivery. There's a little truck with a person that delivers it, and they step 8 feet probably from the curb to that box to put all that mail in. And again, most of it's junk mail. So how are these people hurting themselves? Now, what this has become now is a pity party for the poor postal workers to get public sympathy because climate change is causing them to break their hips. I can't believe that Global News actually wrote this story. This is how far the media has fallen in Canada. The Global News is absolutely nutso cuckoo over climate change and global warming. They're crazy about this stuff. There isn't a story they won't write about climate change, but this is nuts. Let me just read a little bit about one of the people. I don't think his whole name's in here. I'll block it out if it is. But here's a couple of paragraphs. Being a letter carrier in British Columbia often means navigating steep hills and hazardous driveways, especially in areas like Penticton, where many homeowners have stamped concrete, Schatz explained. These surfaces can become dangerously slick in icy or damp conditions, he said, making them even more treacherous, turning frosty mornings into potential safety hazards. When it's frosty morning out there, they are truly a death trap, Schatz says. A death trap. Well, here's what you do if you're a Canada Postal worker, or if you're the head of Cup W. What you do is you go out and buy your people these. I think I was given these. You put these on your boots, carbide tips, they work great in the ice, and on icy days, you have them put this on their boots. Don't blame injuries on climate change. But this is the way government works, right? You heard the thing about $500 hammers. It's one of those stories you hear about the United States military and the United States government. Well, this is a case where they're trying to get pity from the public over climate change because they can't get sympathy from the public because nobody cares about the postal strike that's been going on for almost a month. Go out and get these. They hardly cost a cent, and you maybe can save your people who are delivering your mail from the death trap that is climate change when they're out there on the streets in all those awful, terrible weather conditions. Thanks for watching.